Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back. As you can tell, my voice is still a little off, but I think it's good enough. I'm going to do my absolute best. I'm sorry, I might have to cough a little bit. I was sick again, but I am. I think my voice is recovered enough that I can do this without sounding too awful. But I didn't want to wait any longer for the video because I already missed a week, and I just didn't want to go any longer. We covered the last chapter we did was chapter 9, and that was the law of relativity. Now we're up to chapter 10, and we have, I think there's 12, just 12 laws, 12 chapters, and then we have we do have the conclusion. So um, we're almost to the end of this, and then we'll pick up another book. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do next, but I'll let you guys know probably in the next video or two. So just so you know what to expect. And in case you guys want to pick them up on Amazon and take a look at them because they're not expensive. These are fantastic books to just kind of, I have multiple copies of them kind of just like laying around, and I'll pick it up and I'll read a chapter because they're so short. They're easy to understand. So in case you guys want to pick up the next one before I do it, I'll let you know which one it's going to be. Okay, so we have chapter 10, and it's the law of polarity. It says there are two sides to everything. Everything has an opposite on the same continuum. How would you know what heat is if you didn't experience cold? How would you know the feeling of joy if you never felt sad? You need one to experience the other, and this is the essence of polarity. So let's take a moment to be grateful for the bad things in life that allow us to experience the good things. I live in a climate where we have cold and dreary winters, but I have learned that this is what makes the joy of what makes the joy of spring such a wonderful experience, and what makes me love and appreciate hot sunny days even more. All truths are but half truths, and every truth is half false. There are two sides to everything. Opposites are identical in nature, yet different in degree. The Kabbalion is who quoted that. We can apply the same concept to our emotions. Through the despair of losing a loved one due to illness, we can learn to appreciate our health instead of taking time with family and friends for granted. Without sadness, how do we know what happiness is like? Without one, the other ceases to exist. All of our human emotions are part of the human experience and serve a greater purpose, whether they feel good or not. Since all points on the emotional continuum are necessary to provide a complete life experience, we can accept that negative emotions have a purpose. If we are angry, sad, or depressed, this is a valid emotion with a reason. What does it teach you? We tend to resist and suppress these emotions because they don't feel right. However, once we go beyond this point, there will be some important information that will help in emotional and personal growth. Here's some advice. Negative emotions are inevitable but necessary. Without them, we would not know what positive emotions are. The goal is to accept the emotion, and instead of focusing on resisting it, accept it and focus on how it can help you move on. When considering the law of polarity, the most important thing to remember is that absolutely everything has an opposite, and it is the existence of these opposites that allows us to understand our lives. Therefore, when you experience some difficulties, it will help you to truly appreciate the good development ahead. And, I've told my kids this too. When things, are going wrong or going bad, I try to remind them, everything, it just goes in phases. Everything goes up and goes down, goes up and it goes down. So I'm like, even though you're down right now, things, it has to. Things are going to go up at some point. And then, of course, I have my one son who's like, yeah, but then they're going to come down again. Like, yeah, I know, but they will go back up. By remembering this regularly, you can improve your ability to be resilient during the difficult times. For example, although a bad breakup is painful, it will teach you what does not work for you in a relationship and help you find what works in the end. And I've talked about this before about people who, if you don't know what you necessarily want with something, Knowing what you don't want or what doesn't work can be just as valuable as knowing what you do want. And this, says it very clearly. Sometimes just knowing that that feels really bad, I don't want that. So, okay, maybe you don't have the specifics of what you're going to want or, what you might want to do, but at least you know what direction not to take. And again, that's really, really valuable. And I think as humans, we kind of forget that and we take that for granted. So it says, let's see here. This law says that everything in life has an opposite, good and evil, love and fear, hot and cold. The key is to understand that these are two sides of the same coin, just like heads and tails. It's the same coin, there's opposite sides. Use this mantra to work with this law. All contrast brings more clarity. If you are faced with a difficult situation, like a breakup or a health issue, for example, tune into what the opposite looks like, which may reveal a new perspective or lesson. This law can play a big role when you study its meaning. However, in the simplest terms, everything has two opposing parts. For example, low and high, slow and fast, white and black. Confused? I know this can be very intense. But think of it this way: everything is good, and with good comes bad. Conversely, for example, if you're in a bad situation, then there must also be some good in it. Whether it's from what you learned from the situation or what happened after the incident, nothing is completely wrong, no matter how you look at it. Everything has an opposite side. If there's an increase, there's also a decrease. It cannot exist without the other. Experiencing these polarities is a part of the human experience. They also help us learn from our mistakes and help us identify what we don't want so we can be more aware of what we do want. And, there's this has a lot. It's again, a short chapter. There really is a lot of information in it. And if you think about it, you really can apply a lot of this to your everyday life and the things that go on because um, just learning from the things that go wrong and can not only be of help, but you can also kind of sit back and say, these things are going wrong. This isn't, maybe going my way, but tomorrow is going to be different. Things are going to go my way again. It's inevitable that that is going to happen. And I think when we look at things, I have a lot going on in my head because, I've had these conversations with one of my friends, Deb, recently, and she sent me something from Aaron Abke. And, he really talks about when you get these challenges, you get these things, the good is going to come, but you also want to look at the challenges. You need to have kind of, I don't want to say need to have as if I'm telling you what to do, but um, I think it's important for us to try and look at these challenges or the things that maybe don't go our way um, with more of an open mind and, of what can I learn from this? What is it teaching me? What am I learning that I don't want? And knowing that the good is coming. And I think when we look at our situations like that, it may even help them not be prolonged quite as much. I don't know if that's really true, but I feel like in the times that I have been able to, step back and just sit with what's going on and say, okay, what am I learning from this? Okay, I know I'm frustrated, but it's going to get better. I know this isn't, working for me. It seems that I can move through it a little bit better. And I don't know why. I don't know if that's coincidence. But I am curious if anybody has any experience with that or, what your thoughts or opinions are on that as far as, does your intent or your attitude come into play when these things do go poorly? And also, when things are going really well, try to remember when things weren't going well so you can really appreciate the things that are going well now and you can not and not take it for granted. And like the author says, he lives where it gets really cold, so he can really appreciate the nice weather. I live in a climate that's warm or hot all year, so it's really difficult for me to appreciate nice weather, because it's like that all year round here. So when we get the really really nice days that maybe aren't quite so hot, I kind of take them for granted. With that said, when the weather really cools off and we get a cold snap, I appreciate those days. Like, I love those days because it's such a contrast. Now, if I had those days all the time, I'm probably not going to like the cold as much. Um, but we don't get that change of seasons where I am, so we don't have a chance to really, appreciate those ups and downs, and we're not able to really look forward to a change of seasons. Um, but I do understand what he's saying with that, and that's the same thing with life. So, if you guys have any thoughts, any questions, suggestions, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and let me know. And then I will be back with chapter 11, and we'll finish off 12 and go over the conclusion. And like I said, I'll let you know probably next video what book we're going to be doing next. In case anybody wants to order it, it gives you time to do that. All right. Bye.